never imagined that a simple weekend getaway could turn into a nightmare that would haunt me for the rest of my life. I had always loved the idea of escaping the city's chaos. My friends and I decided to rent a secluded farmhouse nestled on the outskirts of a small town. It was supposed to be a relaxing escape, a chance to breathe fresh air and disconnect from the digital world. But what we found there was anything but peaceful. From the moment we drove down the narrow, winding road leading to the farmhouse, a sense of unease settled over me. The dense forest surrounded the property, and the silence was deafening. Birds didn't chirp, and even the wind seemed to avoid rustling through the trees. My friends laughed it off, calling me paranoid, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us. The farmhouse itself was old, made of weathered wood and covered in creeping vines. Its windows were dark, reflecting nothing back. Despite its eerie appearance, the inside was surprisingly well kept. The furniture was antique, but it had an odd charm, as if time itself had forgotten this place. There were portraits on the walls, faded and cracked, depicting somber faces of people I didn't recognize. I felt their eyes following me as I explored the rooms. That night, we built a fire in the fireplace, and the atmosphere seemed almost cozy. We laughed, drank wine, and told ghost stories, trying to outdo each other with tales of horror. But as the clock struck midnight, I noticed something strange. The shadows cast by the fire seemed to move independently, stretching across the walls in impossible ways. I dismissed it as a trick of the light, but the feeling of being watched intensified. I decided to take a walk outside, hoping the cold night air would clear my mind. The forest around the farmhouse was thick, and the path seemed unfamiliar, as if it had shifted since we arrived. That's when I heard it, a faint whisper, almost inaudible, calling my name. I froze, straining to hear it again. "Alyssa," it murmured, soft and urgent. My heart raced. I had told my friends my name was Alyssa, but I had no idea who, or what, was calling me. I ran back to the farmhouse, but when I opened the door, I realized something terrifying. The inside of the house had changed. The fire was out, the furniture rearranged, and the portraits now showed people with hollow eyes staring directly at me. My friends were nowhere to be seen. Panic clawed at my chest, and I shouted their names, but the only response was the hollow echo of my own voice. I spent hours searching the farmhouse room by room, but there was no sign of them. Then I noticed the basement door. I hadn't seen it before. The handle was cold, and the wood was rotting as if it had been untouched for decades. Something compelled me to open it. As I descended the creaking stairs, the air grew colder, and the faint whispering grew louder. "Alyssa, help us." The basement was dark, but my eyes adjusted. I could barely make out shapes in the shadows, figures huddled together, shivering. My friends? I thought, relief washing over me. But as I stepped closer, I realized these were not my friends. Their faces were pale, distorted, and their mouths twisted in silent screams. They reached for me, and I stumbled back in horror. Suddenly, the whispers stopped. The figures vanished, leaving only the cold, empty basement. My flashlight flickered, and in that brief moment of darkness, I saw a reflection in the wall, a face that wasn't mine. Pale, hollow eyes, and a twisted smile. It whispered again, "You shouldn't be here." I ran back upstairs, but the house seemed endless. Hallways twisted impossibly, doors led to rooms I didn't recognize, and the portraits now grinned at me, their eyes following my every move. I understood then that the farmhouse wasn't just haunted, it was alive. It fed on fear, twisting reality to trap anyone who entered. I tried to escape through the front door, but it led me back to the same dark hallway. Every window showed not the outside world, but endless forest shadows that seemed to reach for me. I was trapped. My phone had no signal, and the night outside felt eternal. Days, or maybe hours, I couldn't tell, passed. The farmhouse tormented me, showing me visions of my deepest fears, whispering my name, and making me question my sanity. I began to lose track of reality. Was I awake or dreaming? Alive or dead? The house didn't care. It only wanted me to stay, to feed the fear that gave it life. Then, in a moment of clarity, I remembered something my grandmother had once told me about old houses. They remember. They remember pain, fear, and death. And if you don't leave before nightfall, they claim you. I knew I had to find a way out before it was too late. I searched the house looking for a window, a hidden exit, anything that could save me. In the attic, I found an old journal. Its pages were yellowed and brittle, but the handwriting was clear. It belonged to a woman named Eleanor, who had lived there over a century ago. She wrote of the farmhouse's curse, of how it trapped the souls of those who dared to enter, and how it could only be escaped by confronting the source of its hunger. The last entry chilled me to the bone. The house thrives on fear. Only by facing it without fear can one leave. But who among us can truly be fearless? I realized then that I had a choice. I could surrender to the terror and become part of the house, or I could face it head-on. Taking a deep breath, I focused on calm, imagining the warmth of sunlight, the laughter of my friends, the life I had outside this nightmare. I walked through the hallways with purpose, ignoring the whispers, the shadows, the cold hands that tried to pull me back. The house resisted, its walls shaking, windows rattling, but I pressed on. I found the front door again, and for the first time it opened. Outside, the night had lifted. The forest no longer reached for me, and the farmhouse loomed silently behind, as if nothing had happened. I ran until I reached my car, my friends waiting, unharmed, as if they had never been missing. I never understood what had truly happened in that farmhouse. Was it a shared hallucination? A supernatural entity? Or was it a test of courage? I know one thing for certain. I will never return. The farmhouse waits, patient and hungry, ready for the next visitor. And I will never forget the terror that lurks behind its weathered walls, whispering in the dark, waiting for fear to feed it once more.